Hey guys, this is Bruce, and welcome to GRC coming from Colorado. The first time ever in history, I'm going to be talking about strictly GRC news. All the news that you need to see right now, right here for you. All right, so let's get started here. First, let's word from our sponsor. This is brought to you by Perplexity. So what I did was I looked up all of the news that we need to talk about on Perplexity, an AI platform. Shout out Perplexity, great platform for AI. Okay, let's get into this. So first thing I wanted to address was something that actually recently just came out, like in last couple days. It's NIST. Really, hold on, let me show my screen here. Okay, so yeah, NIST released an overlay for AI. It's going to be built on top of NIST 853. They're working on it right now as we speak. And so let's kind of get into this a little bit, just kind of give you an overview, just so you're in the know about this. So NIST is National Institute of Standards and Technologies. These are the guys who created NIST 800 Risk Management Framework, NIST Cybersecurity Framework, and a whole bunch of other awesome tools and frameworks that all of us use, whether you know it or not. Anyway, so they realized that there's an issue where so many organizations, be they government, public, private sector, are starting to dip their toe in AI. So they realize, okay, we've got to get something in place. So what they are starting to do is develop a NIST special publication 853 control overlay, specifically designed for securing AI systems. So what are they doing here? They already developed a concept paper, which I think I'll show you here. Yeah, I've got a link here to it. Concept paper presents a NIST response to urgent need for standardization of cybersecurity controls for AI technologies to increase integrated into critical infrastructures, business operations. So we're talking about people using AI in hospitals, in energy sector, to manage the grid. All kinds of stuff is happening right now. It's going to take a while, but they're already starting to develop stuff like this. I'm seeing it where I used to work. They started developing stuff like that. And there really is a need for something that's robust to give us some guidance, because there's just a lot going on, and it's not like it's secure. It's great, but there's all kinds of issues. So what the NIST is doing is they've launched a dedicated Slack channel that's titled NIST Overlays for Securing AI to facilitate a community to engage in collaborative development of critical security controls for AI systems. And that's all happening right now. This is what the NIST normally does when they're really serious about developing a new framework. They collaborate with people from all over the world, pull people in to get insight from the people who actually are developing the models themselves, to the people who just do networking, the system engineers, system admins. They pull all this expertise in, and they'll put out a paper and then allow people to comment on it or rework it or come up with comments. So what they're doing right now is unique, is opening up a Slack channel specifically for this. So I think that's great. NIST is one of the best, most thorough organizations that whenever they put their hands on anything, whether it's cybersecurity or whatever, they do a really good job of this. And the reason why they're doing this is because there's an increase. They're recognizing that AI-specific security vulnerabilities, such as, I don't know if you've heard about it, but prompt injection attacks, where somebody can literally just write a prompt and get more information from the system, or shut the thing down, or all kinds of stuff that they can do with large language models just with a prompt injection attack. If you don't set it up properly, you can get any information you want out of that large language models. Model poisoning, data exfiltration. That's that McDonald's issue, where McDonald's had a McHire AI that it allowed people to easily put their applications in, because an AI was handling all your information. You would just talk to it. It would gather all your information. It would store it in a database. but unfortunately, it wasn't secure. They were using a model, a system that wasn't secure, and security engineers were able to extract personally identifiable information from that system, and that's what you call data exfiltration through AI interfaces. So there's just all kinds of attacks, and we definitely need something. They're building this with the AI risk management framework in mind, the AI RMF 1.0. And let me show you a couple of things that they have so far out there. So here's one of them right here. Kind of what it's going to look like from a bird's eye view. Securing AI systems control overlay. Overlay just means you're building, you've got a good structure, right? You got your NIST 800, all your security features. But then on top of that, if you are a security control developer, there's another set of controls that you need to keep in mind. So that's what they mean by overlay. So we've got a NIST 800 218A secure software development practices for generative AI and dual use foundation models. So, that's something that they're developing right now in real time. And as well as you got the NIST AI 100 that is addressing adversarial machine learning. So this is all in the works right now. Here's that paper that they talked about. Let me see if I can grab that. Here it is right here. And if you want to get a copy of this, it's all out there right now. It's on the internet. So if you just type in NIST 800 control overlays, AI, something like that, you'll find this. And it's a paper breaking down what they're trying to do. And I believe they might even have links to where they're talking about all this kind of stuff. They're talking about the purpose, the scope, all this kind of stuff here. So that's all happening in real time right now. Within the last few weeks, this is all stuff that's been coming out. So what else do we have in the news? This is the AI RMF 1.0, which I've talked about on this channel before briefly. Okay, another thing somebody on this channel brought this up. And I had no idea about it, but the Department of Defense was talking about, is still, like, this is serious. They're talking about revamping risk management framework, making it faster. And this has all happened like in July. I remember I did a live and somebody brought this up and they were saying, they're going to get rid of risk management framework. I don't know if they use some words to that effect. And, but essentially it's pretty serious. So DOD is closing in on some promising reforms with the risk management framework by the end of July. So we're past that right now. So we're going to figure out where we're at right after this. So officials expect the release to be the draft outline. They're trying to simplify and rework risk management framework so it's faster. And that's understandable. It's a slow process. It takes a long time. But in the words of the DOD Chief Information Officer, Katie Arrington, she's wanted to, quote unquote, blow up the risk management framework and approach it to where it's a lot faster. And this is serious because they actually had RFI, or a request for information, from the DOD. This is real. This is coming from sam.gov, where they were soliciting businesses to actually revamp it, to come in, somebody like a Northrop Grumman or anybody to come in and revamp it and come up with some ideas on how they can streamline and make it faster. And this is the actual reform stuff. And I think it's already done. I'm not sure it's still publicly available, but I don't think that maybe they already, it looks like it's inactive as of the 8th of August. So it's done. And I'm not sure if I haven't found any new information about how far they've gotten with this, but this RFI actually ended like a couple weeks ago. So I imagine somebody actually either got the contract or they just called it quits and they're going to start from scratch and release it over again. That's normally how they do it. So it's serious. They are trying to do something faster. And that's, like I said, understandable. It is a long, drawn out, expensive process. So if there's a way that can make it faster for us to do, we have to do compliance. It's not going anywhere, but we need to figure out a way to do it in a faster way. And the government's getting wise to this and starting to think about that. So let's look at some more news here. Here's something I ran across a couple of articles about GRC platforms, the market growing by 44 billion from 2025 to 2029, and driven by regulatory compliance needs. And this was coming from a report from Technavio. And some of the driving factors, let me see, some of the market drivers they said was the technologies getting, AI, machine learning. There's already tools out there that are cloud-based. They mentioned a couple things, Azure, Purview, and different kinds of risk management tools from Oracle, from EC Council, and some other organizations out there that are trying to make it so that they're trying to allow industries such as the healthcare industry, IT telecoms, financial sector, government, to meet things like Sarbanes-Oxley, GDPR, COBIT, HIPAA, risk management framework, all those kinds of things. Make it faster, make it more efficient, and things like that. So they estimate, Technavio estimates that it's going to grow by like $40 billion because the need is not going away for this kind of stuff, which is for us in this industry, it's a good thing because we want to remain gainfully employed. But it also means that as technologies are integrated into what we're trying to do, we need to get smarter on things like cloud, things like the different platforms that they have coming out, and the tools that are being integrated into these platforms that already exist, like things like Archer and probably EMAS or whatever is going to replace EMAS, are going to continue to expand, and they're still very useful. Let me see what other things are coming up. Oh, okay. There's EU Artificial Intelligence Act. So some of the things that have been in development here over the years, where they're trying to address artificial intelligence using governance, and EU AI Act is one of those methods. And so they're pushing really hard in the EU. EU has been, because they're more mature about how they deal with certain security issues, I think. And they take it a little bit more serious, especially privacy. They take privacy way more serious in EU than they do in the United States, for example. And so these guys definitely have to listen to these guys, because a lot of times the U.S. follows their lead, because they have way more complex issues, I think, because they're dealing with several different countries coming together. So they have some complex issues. Once they solve them, sometimes it trickles down to the U.S. and it finds its way into the NIST, and into the NIST standards, such as NIST 800 has borrowed some things from the EU's, specifically from the British. Some of their stuff has been used inside of the NIST 800. So it's worth paying attention to how they move, because a lot of times we follow their lead. How the U.S. has started to get into this is to kind of lean into AI and try to deregulate as much as possible. I don't know what direction we're going to go, because the U.S. kind of changed its mind from one administration to another. The Biden administration was going more into like, let's be responsible. Let's be more like EU with this. We want to protect people's information. We want to kind of slow walk with this. Whereas this administration is going, they've got AI.gov, where they talk about some of their initiatives to go as fast as possible with as little regulations as possible to be a leader in the AI race, and has caused kind of like an arms race for AI against China and others. I think that there's some, regardless of what your political leanings are, I think that there's some argument both directions on this. I can't call it. I don't know which way would be the smartest to go, because it is a very deeply, it's going to define the direction of humanity. So it's kind of like the guns argument. Like if we all If everybody who thought guns were bad got rid of their guns, you think criminals are going to get rid of their guns? They're not, right? So AI is the same thing. If we said, okay, let's go super slow AI, you think China's going to slow down? You think EU's going to slow down? You think now it's open source, so people, just random people, nation states can just, governments or companies are not going to stop going fast with it. So I'm not sure like which way to go with this. Like I don't know. I do know we definitely need some kind of regulation, because there's real risks to AI. So it's a double-edged sword, and we're gonna find out with our lives about with this, which is crazy. It's a crazy time to live in, that's for sure. But yeah, AI.gov, and it talks about some of the initiatives that they have, the direction they're going to go. But like I said, in 4 years, all this is going to change. Like, who knows what they're going to do in 4 years. And this brings me to another article where this guy, I thought this was interesting. So this guy, in the beginning of 2025, he wrote this article. He said, the year of global AI cybersecurity regulation, 7 predictions for 2025. Now that we're mostly through 2025, we're more than halfway through it. Let's look at some of his predictions. So he said results of 2025. So 2024, results of 2024. He said current cybersecurity and AI environments have been marked significant advances and challenges as organizations increase their adoption of AI technologies, all 2024, and face new vulnerabilities, particularly in AI-powered attacks, deepfake scams, and now they're way beyond just deep fakes. Right now, we're into prompt injection attacks and all kinds of stuff, and it's going to get crazier. It's going to get crazier. So coming off of 2024, it was emerging technology, people starting to use it, and now we're about 6 months into this, and it's moving super fast. Prediction 1. So this guy predicted in 2025, the global security laws will be significantly changed, reflecting growing need for comprehensive regulatory frameworks. And I would say that that's partially true, because we just looked at the EU's AI Act, which they just released, pretty serious in the EU. As world leaders, we're going to follow some of the leads that they have in here with that. So that's partially true, I think. And then the U.S. headed for a period of reduced regulatory enforcement. And yes, that's true as well. One part I think that he's kind of off on is he says the United States is headed into a period of reduced regulatory enforcement and potentially deregulation, although it's unclear if established cybersecurity regulations will be affected by initiatives like DOGE. Unclear. And I would argue, thanks. I would argue that DOGE talked a good game about AI having some kind of impact, but really it wasn't about AI. It was more of a political move. It was more of a political move for DOGE. Haven't been on the receiving end of this, right? Like am working in industries where this is impacted. I'm impacted directly by this. And I have some other coworkers coming out of places like USAID and places like, I don't know, other governments, other people in this industry impacted by DOGE. And it wasn't, I'll put it to you like this. They talked a good game about AI, using more AI and then firing a bunch of people. But in reality, I'm speaking for myself from what I saw with my own eyes. They talked about it, but we're probably a year away from them actually implementing this stuff, right? It's a year away because there's too many moving parts within each department, a sub-department or offices. There's too many moving parts. So you can't just, there's no easy button. You can't just hit a button and then suddenly everything's magically fixed. It doesn't work that way. So I do see it eventually helping us out, but a larger issue is that we were already like 50% manned before they even start firing people and laying people off and all the craziness that they've been doing with Doge and continuing to do, by the way. So there's a lot going on with that one. There's no way he could have predicted this one. He says cybersecurity remains a bipartisan issue. It is more likely that enterprising litigants may file challenges to the Looper Bright over. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's nobody agrees on how to do cybersecurity until there's a breach and until some leader is embarrassed because they got attacked and lost a bunch of information. So we'll see how that one goes by the end of the year. Next prediction he made: EU is heading into a period of regulatory enforcement. Very true. That's exactly what's happening. EU has leaned heavily into the EU AI Act. I think this stuff was already happening when in the beginning of the year and the end of 2024. So he's just kind of going in that direction. And there's some other predictions here. I am going to open this up to questions, but thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any kind of comments or you want to join me, you can come on here. We can hear your voice or see your face. This one is a little bit different. Let me go into some of the comments here. I'm going to start with TikTok since we got some TikTok folks on here. Let me see here if it'll. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's see here. Anybody here on TikTok? Let's see here. No questions on TikTok. Okay. Larry, how you doing? Farron, how you doing? Let's see here. I'm actually building an AI SOC tool for SOC 1 analysts to query logs inside of a cloud platform like AWS and Azure. That's awesome. There's definitely a need for that. Definitely a need for that. The article about platforms increasing marketability, I think this is very real. I mean, off the top of my head, I could think of a few awesome tools that would be great. But you building an AI SOC tool, like AI would be really, really good at seeing patterns for indicators of compromise and anomalies. It's going to be really, really good at that. And so I can see them implementing it. I mean, I believe they're already implementing into things like Splunk, where you have AI helping the SOC analyst in that way. But I think right now, it's open market for GRC and AI tools to really blow up because there's a lot of gaps that could be filled with AI tools like the one that you're developing. So that's awesome, man. Keep it up. Go for it. And Larry says, recently I read an article basically saying that the adoption of cloud and AI are currently far outpacing cybersecurity defense oversight. How do those in the security space prevent from being left out? Yeah, it's going really fast. Like that's a great point because it's developing very, very fast. And what I'm noticing is many industries using more and more using cloud platforms and adopting as fast as they can without, risking their business. AI tools, large language models, anything that they can get their hands on. I'm seeing it in real time being adopted quickly. In the government sector, like I said, it's a lot of talk. I mean, I can see them working on it in the background, but on the forefront of the 98% of stuff we do, we're not using AI. In the very beginning, I remember they were like, oh yeah, you guys can use AI, just use these tools. They were actually telling us where to go and stuff and how to use it and having all this training. I talked about it live here. And then they just made like a 180 and said, nope, nobody can use it. They start restricting it. And the reason why is because there's too many things that can go wrong with it. Like, number one, I think that if you have an uninformed, if you just allow everyone in your organization to use it, you risk people posting sensitive information inside of a publicly available cloud. And these cloud platforms are not very responsible. And I'll give you an example, like a real world example. There was one where Grok was, they were making people's prompts public. Let me see if I can find the articles. And they're not the only ones. Grok was making people's hundreds of okay, here it is right here. Let me show you guys. So how can you use, if you're in the government, you're messing around with sensitive information, right? IP addresses, vulnerabilities associated with IP addresses, personally identifiable information, like social security numbers or whatever. You have to work with this kind of information as a government employee. Now look at this. And let's say you use Grok or Google or whatever. So look at this. Hundreds of thousands of Grok chats exposed in Google results. Hundreds of thousands of chats. Now you're using it. And if you put sensitive information in there thinking, oh, okay, this chat is, I'm only the one seeing this chat. No, hundreds of thousands of users' conversations with artificial intelligence, Grok, have been exposed in search engines, seemingly without the user's knowledge. Unique links, and you can find this stuff on the internet right now, are created by Grok users. They press the share transcript of their, so you have to hit the share transcript, but as well as sharing the chat with intended recipients, the button also appears to have. So let's say you had a search about how to fix toilets, and then you want to share that with, your uncle, and it's supposed to be between you and your uncle, but then it's actually publicly available to everybody when you hit the share button. So that's what was happening with Grok. That's one instance where it's a privacy disaster in progress, right? And this is not the only one with Grok. And I'm not trying to pick on Grok, but that's one of the problems with Grok, by the way. It's an emerging technology. Like, what do you expect? It's new. There's going to be problems. Another one was where ChatGPT, one of my favorite ones, ChatGPT leaked people's searches, leaked search results. Let me see. Search results. Yeah, here's another one. They had the same problem Grok did. Multiple instances of private ChatGPT conversations have been inadvertently leaked and made discoverable on Google search results. We're not there yet. Like, search engines, we're there. It's been around for 2 decades, but AI is brand new. Like, AI LLMs are brand new. Like, this method of using it is brand new. So we have to be careful, and that's why in the beginning they're like, oh yeah, everybody use chat, like it's cool, like use this and here's how you use it. And lo and behold, there's all kinds of problems with chat, and that's not just ChatGPT and Grok, by the way. Here's another one. DeepSeek had some security issues. Let me show you that one. Here's another one. In January 2025, DeepSeek experienced a major security incident involving publicly exposed database that leaked chat histories, API keys, oh my Lord, and other sensitive information. This was followed by reports of poor security guardrails in the company's AI chatbots. So if it's leaking API keys, so if you have an API key that's tied to your server, that API key, the secret key, if that's exposed and somebody could grab that, and then they give them some access to your system, to a whole nother system that you have. So yeah, that's really bad. Your data exposed, plain text chat histories, the secret API keys, back-end operational details and credentials, plain text passwords, administrative access. Yeah, this stuff's not like, you can't just start using it. Like, it needs, you have to vet it. You have to make sure that there's not only safety guardrails, like not only bias, like I'm talking about, you can hack it. You can pull out data that's not supposed to be pulled out if it's exposed to the internet. Like even insider threat, like somebody could poison the model and have it say whatever they want it to say. That's what happened with the Mecha Hitler Grok issue. Somebody made it say what they wanted it to say because they poisoned the model. I mean, that's also partly because they didn't lock it down properly. So maybe I don't know that they did that on purpose or what, but I mean, it's pretty serious. Thanks for that link, Larry. I appreciate that. Larry says, I think this is why being well-rounded in cyber is important, more than just being able to code. Yes, absolutely. Understanding the far-reaching impact, I believe, is equally important. Yes, and this is why they need things like DevSecOps. Like, it's not enough to be a developer or DevOps. DevSecOps means you've got that security piece in there to make sure that things like the libraries that they're using to code their Python application or whatever are secure. Making sure that they're not putting credentials inside of the code, inside the source code. You've got a system in place, a process in place to make sure that the code is secure and the infrastructure that you're on doing the code, writing the code, is also secure as well. So having a well-rounded culture of cybersecurity is one of the best things you can have, and that's what GRC is all about. And then Larry goes on to say, I would argue that most private sector companies wanting to wedge their way into the government space have an act adopt first, regulate second mentality, but with that comes some risk. Yeah, I remember that Professor Black Ops mentioned that he was vetting a third party vendor that was trying to come into IRS, and they didn't have basic features in place, to meet NIST 800. So he had to turn them away. And even though they have a great idea, it's not in the government where you're dealing with people's social security numbers or EINs or, personally identifiable information that can, if in the wrong hands, could destroy their whole life. You have to have governance, risk, and compliance in place. And that's a great argument against us leaning heavily and like trying to deregulate this stuff as fast as possible, because people's information is at risk. And unfortunately, some folks don't understand this until their information is leaked. Then they're like, oh, we got to do regulation when their stuff is leaked. I just hope that, I'm all for us as a country leaning into AI and being a world leader or whatever, but I think that we need to be a leader in actually doing it safely. That is equally important. I would say equally, extremely important. All right, I got some folks on here on TikTok. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I'm not ignoring you guys. It's just that I'm on several different platforms. So let me read a couple of these. Global regulation. Wow. Let me see. It says, oh, hey, this is what I do. You a DoD contractor. Yes, I'm in between jobs right now, but I'm a DoD contractor. I'm on my actually I have a job. I start real soon. I am been doing it for many years. Do you have a LinkedIn? Yes. If you actually, I'll show you right here. LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn if you want to join me. My name is Bruce CISSP Risk Management Framework. Bruce Brown. There it is, right there. And for those on, let me actually share it on. Okay, I'm sharing it. Cool. Yep, you guys want to join me? You know, I'm not picky. But there's my profile right there, and we can chit chat. And then somebody says coding is helpful for automation, but absolutely not required to be a cyber pro. Yeah, absolutely not. Like I've been doing this for many years, and I am not a coder at all. Like most of the jobs, 99% of the jobs I've applied for don't require coding. They might mention like scripting, like they want me to do some scripting, but that's on very few jobs, and most of the jobs I've had didn't need it at all. So yeah, you don't have to be for cyber. You don't have to be a coder. I remember there's like this huge, there was this huge debate online about, oh, you have to know code in order to be a cybersecurity person. Not true. There's so many different branches to. Is it better if you know? Yeah, absolutely. It's better if you know how to code. I'll say if you want to be in the cyber, I would say you have to know command line. You have to be able to be comfortable on the command line, right? Which is easy for you to go ahead and do and mess around with it. I would say you need to know Linux a bit, because you're not, more than likely you won't only be on Windows. At some point in your career, you will be exposed to another operating system, and most of them are variants of Unix or Linux. And so if you know some Linux, it's going to help you out a lot. I would argue that if you're a cybersecurity professional, you're going to have to know Linux. You're going to have to, a little bit, like you don't have to be a Linux pro or anything. You need to be comfortable in the command line, because at some point you're going to have to mess around with the command line. I would say you don't have to be a coder, but knowing logic would help you out a bit, because every now and then you have to do queries. You don't even have to know SQL or something, but you knowing basic query, basic logic, like if then and or statements and stuff like that is going to help you out. I would say that you need to know that. I would say you need to know networking, but basic networking, like you need to know what an IP address is. The difference between a publicly available IP and a private IP, you would have to know that. There's some things you're going to have to know, but coding, like you don't have to know C++, you don't have to know Java, you don't have to, unless that came with the job. Let me see here. A lot of us, Codez says, a lot of us just build without security in mind. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Where else can we watch you on stream, if not TikTok, and join? I'm on YouTube. I'm on ConvoCourses on all platforms. So YouTube is probably the best one, the most active. I am starting a community, so you can join us there. We talk a little bit more, and that one's starting to grow momentum. But the main place right now, I'd say, will be YouTube, and just go type in ConvoCourses. You'll find me there. You'll find our whole community there, and then we'll just chit chat about GRC stuff and more. We've been talking more about cloud. Now I've got a cloud position. I'll be talking more about that. So it's pretty cool. Great group of people, highly knowledgeable, and it's about a conversation with us. I'm trying to get a job within a year. What would be the best course of action? A job in IT. I would want to know like your background, where you're at. I would need to know where you're at. Like I always tell people, start where you are, but I need to know where you are in order to give you good advice. I had somebody who was a teacher, and they said, "Hey, I'm a teacher. I want to get into cybersecurity. What do I do? How do I go about doing that?" And I told him honestly, you know, like, you're going to have to learn the fundamentals. But the good news is you probably already know some GRC stuff because they use something called FERPA. And off the top of my head, I don't remember what FERPA stands for, so I'm going to have to look it up. My a very close friend, like brother, he works with schools doing IT stuff. So FERPA is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and this is what's used to protect student information and teacher information, keep it confidential, and protect kids' information. So that's GRC, is governance, risk management, and compliance, where we're making sure that people's information is safe. So I told them, listen, like, that's one place where you could expand your knowledge, and then, you know, you could go into IT as a teacher, and then you could go into IT as a teacher, you know, in your district. Like, look into the IT in that district, try to get in there from there, and then actually volunteer your information, volunteer your information, volunteer your time to work with the IT department, do a lateral change. I always tell people to do this because that's what I did. My start was in the Air Force as a grunt. I was a security forces member. You know, in the beginning, I wasn't even a police officer. I was just guarding planes. I was a weapons specialist, fancy word for a soldier who stands there and guards planes for 12 to 16 hours a day with you know, with the M16 A1, not even the A2. And I did that for like 5 years. A combination of that and law enforcement. It wasn't for me. It's very, very difficult to be a first responder. Most difficult job I've ever had to this day. Physically, mentally demanding, not for me. I don't think everybody should should be a first responder. It's not, especially not a police officer. Not everybody's made for it. Some people can't handle authority. That's why you have all these crazy shootings where the police shoot somebody in the back because they don't know what the hell they're doing. Everybody can't be a cop, you know. And I didn't want to do it. I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do in my future. So when I was in the Air Force, I made a lateral change, meaning I remained in the Air Force, but I started asking around to gather information about how can I go from being, I want to stay in the Air Force. I like this institution, but how can I be in IT? Like, what can I do? So I just asked around and found out a path within that organization to get from here to there. I had to make some sacrifices. You know, I had to stay in for like a number of more years. And when I was in, there was like fucking 2 wars. It sucked. You know, it was during 9/11 and shit. But I went into IT, and yeah, and then I got experience there, very valuable experience. And I'll talk a little bit about that, like the backbone of all that experience, and some books I wrote, like this book here, talk about the NIST 800. When I first started learning all the stuff about, we called it certification and accreditation back then, but now it's risk management framework, NIST 800. So you can find it in this book. You can find this on Amazon, by the way. Brought to you by books on Amazon from Bruce Brown. And I'm just talking about how I got into this field, like breaking down how you can be an information system security officer in plain English. You can get the information off the internet for free, but when you learn from somebody who's doing it, for me personally, when I learn from somebody who's doing it and who gives practical examples of how and why it's being done, it makes more sense to me personally. So that's whenever I buy courses, I still buy courses like to go into like cloud or whatever. And I usually look for somebody who's already in the field because I want to learn from somebody who's, can give me practical examples. Anyway, got some more questions, comments, stuff here. Let me see. Farron says cloud is super important. Cloud security is super important. Hell yeah, it is. Agreed. Big understatement. Yeah, no kidding. AI is everywhere. AI is everywhere, which means cloud is everywhere as the foundation. Basics tell us that if the foundation is secure, larger issues are sure to follow. Absolutely. And this is why, and my journey recently has been to get into cloud and, to get into AI rather. I'm super excited about AI. I'm super excited about it. I know it's terrifying. People keep saying, oh, it's going to take all of our jobs and all this kind of stuff. And me, I'm just like, yeah, maybe. I don't know which direction it's going to go, but man, it's amazing. Like, I need to know more about this. I was super excited. It all started about a year and a half ago. And the more I start digging into it, the more I start realizing that it's based off of, it's all built on cloud. That's the only way that OpenAI and Claude and Gemini from Google can scale to give it to all of us, is to put it in the cloud using containers, using virtual private cloud. It's all on cloud. You can build a local AI, in your house. Just like Rob Rodriguez was talking about last week, we were talking, and he mentioned, he has a local instance in his he built a server for AI. You can do that, but to give it to everyone, you've got to have it to scale it. You have to build it on cloud. So I start thinking, man, the jobs are going to be on cloud for AI. Like, there are AI jobs out there, but those are going to be for people who are developing the actual brain of the system. Like, they're going to have to know all kinds of complex mathematics. They're going to have to be coders and stuff like that. I'm not any of that. So I was just thinking, like, if I'm going to get into it, my best bet is to start learning more cloud stuff. And I consulted with AI. I built a little GPT on AI, and I fed it my resume. I said, look, here's my skill set. Here's what I'm good at. Here's my certifications. Here's my degree. How can I get into AI? And it broke down this path of how I can get there and where I should go, what I should do. And one of the things it hinted at was the use of using cloud. One of the things it hinted, it mentioned like AI ethics, and it mentioned AI security using like Azure, AI security on Azure or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, it's cloud. It's cloud. And then if you look at all of the big guys, Google, at Amazon, Microsoft, all these guys are starting to build. They already have an infrastructure to continue to scale cloud AI, and all of their money is being dumped into make this more robust cloud infrastructure to allow more use of their AI. So sure enough, there's a ton of jobs for cloud. And then recently I was like, damn, how can I get out of, I wanted to get out of the job I was in. What can I do? What can I do to get to move, out of his job? And all the jobs were like cloud this, cloud that, cloud. It wasn't really, there was a couple that were saying AI this and AI that, but mostly it's cloud. And it's been like that for the last 7 years. Hasn't slowed down. Thanks, Larry, for that promo and that link to our group. We're going to grow that sucker, man. We're going to grow it. Larry says, my number one regret in my 20 years of Air Force service, not transitioning out of an aircraft mechanic and into IT cyber sooner. Lesson learned the hard way. And, I think maybe it was a blessing and a curse that I was a police officer because it was hard. It was very, very difficult. I had a very hard time. I wanted to stay in the military, but it was so difficult that at the end of my first 4 years, I was like, man, I either got to get out of the Air Force entirely, or I need to switch career paths because I don't want to do this anymore. And so it was a blessing in that it was so difficult that it forced me to make a choice. And I did. And I don't know, I think 2 years into being a police officer, I made a choice. I started going for my degree, my bachelor's degree while in the Air Force. And it was in information technology. And I started thinking about how can I make this transition? And when I finally got to the point where I need to make it happen, I start asking questions around about how can I transfer into another field? And lo and behold, it's there. So you can do it. Right now, if you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you're a police officer, if you're, and whatever age you're at, if you want to make the transition, you can do it. You're going to have to learn the fundamentals. It will not be easy, but if you're hungry, you'll make it happen. Okay, DOD, and then Turbo Maniac. Turbo says DOD CIO looking to dismantle risk management framework in favor of CMMC. Not sure how this happens. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know how that happens. CMMC is a much lighter method of doing, because CMMC actually borrows a lot from the NIST 800. So, and then it doesn't cover some of the things that you need for a skiff on a military installation. I don't know how you would do CMMC for that. So let me just do some research here. DOD's to CMMC. It says DOD Chief Information Officer Risk Management Framework is a broad ongoing process managing information, while CMMC Cybersecurity Maturity Model. Okay, let me show my screen here real quick. Cybersecurity Maturity Model is a mandatory program that certifies contractors' ability to protect controlled, unclassified information and federal contract information. So this is CMMC is for organizations and companies that work with the Department of Defense. So they don't have as much scrutiny because they're not dealing with actual federal systems. They're dealing with some of the information from a federal system. So it can be like if you had a shop or a lab where you guys are developing tires for the Army, they might have some kind of specifications for the Humvee, and you're working directly with their information. So they're sending you not classified information, but maybe some sensitive information about the Humvee, and then you get that into your computers. You're working on it and have a 3D CAD and stuff on your computers. Because you're working with that sensitive information, that controlled unclassified information, you have to have certain protections, but they're not as robust as what you would have if you had a federal system that had actual sensitive information and classified, and maybe even classified information that you're very, very sensitive information that's not necessarily classified. So they'll use things like the NIST 800-171, which is like a stripped down version of the NIST 853. Have way less controls they have to deal with. I don't know how you would do this. You could do it, but they have to rewrite it because it's specifically for, look, here's the language right here. NIST 800-171, effectively operationalizing the security requirements outlined in the risk management framework for defense industry based, for the defense industry industrial base. So that means people supporting the DoD, not necessarily the DoD itself. So yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, Turbo. I don't know how they would go about doing that. There's a way to do it. I don't know how they would. I don't know how they'd have to rethink. They'd have to rewrite it, because right now the way it is, and Larry's joining in on this conversation, is insight, regulation, and or controls, in my opinion, before they would be the people saying that's not a good idea. Now no one speaks up in fear of losing their job. We'll see how it goes. I don't know which direction this is going to go. If I had to guess, I would say this is the direction we're going right now. I don't think it's going to last. It doesn't. Something's got to give. Something's got to give, because a good example is what's going on with AI right now. So leaning heavy into AI is FANG. That's Facebook, Meta, Apple, Netflix, and I'm not sure about Netflix, but Google for sure, Alphabet, they're leaning heavily into AI, and to the point where they're firing people, laying people off, and replacing them with AI, right? That's not happening in DoD. That's not what's happening in the government sector. Not from where I'm sitting. Not from what I've seen in the government department I'm in. That's not what happened. Doge happened, and that wasn't for AI reasons. It wasn't to replace people with AI, I should say. So what's happening is they're possibly losing money for that. And I think I know why. But let me show you guys the article I'm talking about, so you guys know I'm not just talking just to talk. So let me see if it was, I believe it was Meta lost money on AI, something like that. So, okay. Meta loses billions on its AI investment, but these costs are not all negative. The company operates as a dual track. It funds high-risk, long-term AI projects, and where Meta is losing money, massive losses of concentrating on Meta's Reality Labs divisions. And they move around so much, man. They make these crazy risks. I mean, it's paid off. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar international company, so they make these crazy risks. Like they dove headfirst into reality, virtual reality, with the metaverse. I mean, they changed their name to Meta, and I don't know if anybody remembers this. It seems like people have a very short memory. They changed themselves to Meta to go 100% into VR and make the metaverse and all that kind of stuff, to rename the internet and all that. And then they start firing people, hiring new people to deal with the virtual reality that they were going to do. That's when they made the Ray-Bans purchase for the smart glasses. They purchased Quest VR, and then they kind of like, I wouldn't say abandon it, but some analysts predict that Reality Labs from Meta will continue to lose billions annually as Meta pursues a long-term vision for a new computing platform for AI. I guess that's better for them, since that metaverse didn't work out too well. Didn't pan out how they thought it would. I mean, I would say some of this wasn't, like the Ray-Ban stuff is kind of a cool ass concept. That's kind of cool, I gotta say. Quest VR, I mean, that was a great buy. I think that was a pretty smart buy. They leaned super heavy into it. They lost $4.4 billion in the second quarter of 2025 and recorded cumulative operating losses of $70 billion since 2020. Oh my God. And I don't think they're the only ones. Anyway. So they're making a huge bet on AI. I don't think it's I think it's good that they're going to I don't think it's a bad investment. It's just I don't think you can just replace humans that easy. And the reason why I say this is because think of it like this. If you're having you go on vacation, you're using your bank card and suddenly it's froze. You can't use your card, right? And you're like, damn, right? I need my debit card. And then you got to call your bank. Do you want to talk to AI? Do you want to? It's a complicated issue going on. They froze your card. Do you want AI to talk to you? Most people don't, right? You have I'll give you another example. You've got a medical issue going on, and you want to talk to your doctor or a head physician there, right? You want to talk to a nurse or a nurse practitioner or something, and you get on the phone to your primary care doctor, and you need to talk to someone like right now. It's not an emergency, but it's just serious. Maybe it's your kid. And do you want to talk to AI? I mean, you probably already consulted with AI about it. You probably already typed that in. At some point, my point is, with certain things, you want to talk to a human being. You want to talk to a person. So I just don't think, like, right now we're not there yet. Not even Fang, not even Google. We're just not there where you want to talk to an AI about things that are serious. We're just not there yet. And even if it was there, you've got to deal with people possibly getting hacked because AI is not secure. We don't even have security best practices fully implemented across critical infrastructure to deal with AI like we do with networking, right? Networking or cloud or something that's been out for a decade or two have all kinds of best security practices, a well-rounded method of developing a culture of security in an organization that's dealing with social security numbers, for example. We just don't have that for AI just yet. They're talking about getting rid of it. They're talking about, hey, maybe we can just deregulate it so it's faster so we can beat China. I mean, I don't know, guys. Call me crazy, but I just don't think that's going to work out. I just don't. I think that track is about to run out for some folks. The way they're doing this, I just have some issues with it. Okay, let me read some questions on TikTok. I'm not ignoring you guys. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Let me see. OMG says I need to lock in. I want to have a better life. You can do it, man. I was a grunt in the Air Force for 5 years, man. It was horrible for me personally. I met a lot of great people. A lot of my long life friends I developed from. It gave me a huge respect for law enforcement, for first responders. It's a hard ass job. I will never knock good cops. I don't think everybody should be a cop personally, because I don't think everybody has the testicular fortitude or maturity to do it. They try to push everybody in there, and then they want to guard people who shouldn't be cops. It wasn't for me. You can do it. Listen, if I can do this, my life is a 1,000% better, and I'm doing something I love to do. I work from home. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Let's see. You think we need a master's degree in this field, bro? No. You don't need a master's degree. My man, if you look at my channel, last week I talked to this dude named Robert Rodriguez, friend of mine and a mentor. This guy does not have a degree. This dude makes twice as much money as me. One of the most brilliant people I've ever met. He doesn't even have he even certifications, he's kind of like whatever, Not everybody not everybody is like a Robert Rodriguez. Not everybody can do what he does, Just so you know, he's not a normal person. He's not a normal human being. I'm not saying that Robert Rodriguez is not a normal person. He's not. He's an exception to the rule. I know a couple people like him. In my life, I've met a handful. I can count on one hand like him. I'm not trying to boost him up. I'm not trying to kiss his ass. I'm just telling you that guy's not normal. Not everybody can do what he does is my point. You don't need a master's. That said, you don't need a master's degree. I would say what you really do need is the knowledge. You need basic information technology knowledge. You need hands-on experience. You need to get your hands dirty. That doesn't mean that you need to be in a role, but you do need to do some projects to the point where you know how to use the material. You understand, for example, how networks work. Will a master's degree help you? Hell yeah. Hell yes, it'll help you. But to give you an example, I don't have a master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree. The bachelor's degree helped me quite a bit to get the positions I've been able to get. But I've been in a few roles where I was working with someone who didn't have a degree, and Robert Rodriguez was one of them. So I've been in, and then another guy who I hope one day he'll come on here, Ramsey. That guy's also fucking not normal. He's not a normal human being. And he also when I met him, he didn't have a degree. And I had several certs and a degree, and he ran circles around me. You don't need a degree. You don't. Will it help? Yes. Do I recommend it? Yes, I do. For most people, like normal people like myself, yes, we probably need one. Yeah. So, I would say it depends on where you're at, right? So not everybody has the time, money, or energy to get a degree of any type, especially in this environment where the price of tuition is going up. The price of the cost of living has not slowed down, and it's increased, right? Regardless of who you voted for, that shit has not gone down. And I don't think it will, probably will. They're not doing nothing about it, right? It's just going up and up and up. It's just harder to live. So if you can't get one of those, I would highly recommend getting a certification with hands-on experience. Some of the certifications I would recommend would be a Security Plus. You're going to have to build up to that. If you don't know anything, it's going to be extremely hard for you. If you've been in this field for a while, if you're a help desk guy, you're trying to level up, Security Plus still will be helpful to you. If you're trying to get into cybersecurity, it's helping to check a box. Let me see. Another question somebody said is steps to take for IAM. Again, same thing. IAM, for those who don't know, there's a couple different acronyms for IAM. I imagine you're talking about identity access management. I would get hands-on with identity access management systems. For choose your poison and go with that one. Like if you're gonna do Azure, you want to get super smart and hands-on with Intra. They used to call it Cloud Active Directory Cloud, whatever. You might even want to just do Active Directory for Microsoft. If you want to do AWS, they use IAM, AWS IAM. Point is, get hands on a system and learn it really well. You're still going to have to learn the IT fundamentals. Like if you don't have IT fundamentals, you need to start there. Like don't go to cybersecurity. Don't go to IAM. Don't try to specialize just yet. If you don't know anything, you got to start with the basics, which is information technology fundamentals. That's where you got to start. Okay, let me see. Got more comments, questions on. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate all you guys' support. Um, I'm here to help. I'm here to facilitate a conversation, and we do this once a week. And if you want to chat more, we have a group that we're slowly growing that conversation to where that'll probably take up most of my time at some point once we grow a little bit bigger. Okay. I think Turbo says, I think that many of us might have done this to ourselves. CISP only opens doors, not knowing how to be an ISO perpetuates myths of incompetence. And I think you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. Where some folks are not knowledgeable in this field. They get a CISSP and then they become a GRC person. I think that we're in this weird place right now in GRC where in the past, we're in this transitional period where in the past you could get away with just doing documentation. I met a few people like this on my previous team where there was a couple people who really didn't know fundamentals of IT, but they got a GRC role. And good people, but and it's not their fault. Like the field for a long time was just straight up documentation. So you were like a security secretary. Like you were just doing documents all the time. You weren't doing hands-on stuff. But now we're in this time where they're expecting us to do a little bit of SOC analyst work. They're expecting us to do risk analysis on vulnerability. So vulnerability management, asset management, and all these other things in addition to documentation piece that you would do with compliance, writing a plan of action and milestone, writing a system security plan, writing a standard operating procedure or something like that. So in addition to that, you'd be doing SOC analyst work or something like that. We're in this period where they're expecting way, way more, and we're wearing like 3 or 4 hats. So we have to know more. They're expecting more of the people that they have in place. And Professor Black Ops and I talked about this. I'm not sure like where this is going. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know why they don't hire more people. Why they're expecting us to they won't hire enough people to do there's definitely, I'm telling you guys, there's so much work. They need way more people than we have. But they won't hire more people. I don't know what's going on. Even before Doge. I'm not even talking about Doge and all the stuff that's going on. Before that, we still didn't have enough people. And it's been like this for years. I don't understand what's going on. Meanwhile, we're getting older. I'm Generation X, guys. Like, I can't do this forever. So we're not getting like younger people come in. And then when you look at the resume, when their job description, they'll list not only frameworks, but they want you to know how to they'll mention Python, and they want you to do a MITRE attack framework, and like they want you to do threat analysis and threat. It's like, okay, what's going on here? It's just this weird period where it seems like the customer doesn't know what they want. And then you got all kinds of scope creep in there. I think that like, here's my take. I think this is what's happening. I think the technology is growing. Technology and threats are growing everything's happening so fast that, and I can't speak for Fang and Google, and I haven't been in those other worlds. I can't speak for hotel, restaurant management industry, financial industry, healthcare industry. I've dabbled in those, but I don't know those well enough to speak on them. I know they're from some of their frameworks, but I'm not in those industries. I'm in government sector, and I can tell you what I'm seeing. So what I think has happened is all this stuff's happening so fast. There's more threats from state actors. There's more hacks. There's more breaches. Everything's happening faster. Things are technology is changing and evolving super fast. And what I think what they're trying to do is keep up with it. But I don't think they're doing a very good job at when I say they, I mean the government. I don't think the government, and it's not the Trump administration that's making that happen. I think this happened way before them. There hasn't been a solution to fix this. And maybe AI is like they're getting like a shiny object thing where they're like, oh, AI can fix these problems. What they need to do is hire more people. That's what they need to do. They need to streamline the ability to hire people faster and then hire more people. They don't need to be laying people off. They do not need to be firing people. I'm telling you, the work has not slowed down. So I think what's happening is all changing so rapidly. They're trying to keep up with it by buying tools. But then they rather than getting people in there and paying a person to do it, and then maybe even training the person up. Like what they could do is go straight to younger people who are coming out of college or maybe even in high school, and then train those people. There was an initiative right at the end of the Biden administration that they were about to do, and it was so exciting, where they were going to start hiring a bunch of people to actually fill the gap. And Doge came and just lit that on fire. They just came and lit that on fire with a bunch of promises, and that's now gone. I don't know where that's happening, but at the one point into 2024, they were like, yep, we're going to hire people. Here's all the jobs. They had the job listings out there. You could join. It wasn't just DOD. It was like FDA and all the branches and all the federal agencies started like hiring more people, and even like without a degree, and they were going to train people up because they realized, hey, we got a gap in cybersecurity professionals. We're going to get as many people in as possible. We're going to handle this problem. And unfortunately, that's flushed right down the toilet. I don't know what happened to it. Doge happened to it. I do know what happened. Doge happened to it. And now it's gone. So now I don't know what they're going to do, but it's gotten much worse. There's more work. They want you to do way more. They want you to be way more technical. It's gotten 10 times worse. Larry, thanks for that 20. He says, still pushing to get my Security Plus. Had thoughts about going to the PMP after Security Plus, but recently read the CISM is seen as a hybrid project manager and cyber cert. Do you think this would be more impactful than just PMP? It depends on which direction you want to go, Larry. Both of those are great certifications. Both, and let me prove it to you with some numbers. So check this out. So let's do this. We're gonna go to a couple of different job aggregators, and I want to just demonstrate to you the impact of the CISM and the PMP. And this will give you some insight into which direction to go. Let's look at PMP first. PMP certification. So I just typed in PMP in LinkedIn, and I'm going to go to jobs. And what we're going to do is look at a couple different metrics. We're going to look at how many job results in the United States for this one. It's 239. That's not bad. Another thing is I want to look at what these guys are paid. Let's look at a project manager, PMP asset manager. PMP is a high level certification. It's no joke. And after this, we'll look at CISM. But look at this. Look at the pay rates here. And this is in the private sector. This is a contractor, I believe. project management office, and it's in New York, and it's going for 65,000. It's not bad, but it's in New York, so that's a pretty expensive place. So let's look at other jobs here. PMP equivalent certifications. All right. So these are some legit jobs here, mostly on site and hybrid jobs. Here's a decent one going up to 125. IT project management, public sector. So PMP, just so you know, is a prestigious certification. I know a couple of my peers have gone after this certification. And it's one of those ones that if you don't want to be super technical, you can get this and you still make just about what an IT professional or more would make. Especially with your background, Larry, you'd kill it with this certification. You'd be six figures easy with your experience. Now here's one that was released 19 hours ago with 0 people applied for it in Austin, Texas. That's a pretty good one. Okay, so we've looked at PMP, and we'll look at Indeed too, like to get a good idea of what's going on with this. Let's look at Indeed and let's type in PMP. And this is okay. Let's look at US. Can we look in the United States? Yeah, United States. PMP, 23,000 jobs. There must be something wrong with this. I don't know if I trust these numbers. In the entire United States, 23,000 jobs. I don't know if that's real. I'm not sure. Let's look. This might be a false positive. CISSP. It's just pulling up everything. I don't know if this is helping us. Okay, let me do that. We'll say PMP certified. 23,000 jobs is crazy. Okay, something must be wrong with this. It still says 23,000 jobs and it hasn't. Okay, let's just stick with LinkedIn. And now let's try CISM. CISM is one of the top cybersecurity certifications. Normally, managers, I noticed, get it. Some of my peers at my last job would go for it. And it's around the same number of jobs, a little over 200 positions looking for. And these are not low-level positions. These are high-paying jobs. These are no joke. Like senior risk management specialist, ISM officer. You see how a lot of these are senior management positions. This is ISSM 2, Information System Security Manager. So based on this, Larry, the information, most of these are cybersecurity management type positions that CISM is getting, that are CISM is attracting. What I would do if I were you, if I was in your position, given your background as a project manager, here's what I would do. I would get the Security Plus. I would go for the Security Plus. Get that while you're doing some hands-on stuff with security. Learn networking. You don't have to get the Security Plus or anything like that. You don't have to go that route. If you want to, go for it, but you don't have to do it. Just learn networking, like put a network together. Easier than you think. Just do some labs where you're putting networks together and understand the difference between a public IP and a private IP, IPv6, IPv4, subnetting. Don't have to go super deep. You just need to know what it is. Stuff like that. Basics where you're hands-on, messing around with routers and putting in your own network together. Wi-Fi networks too. I would mess around a little bit with attacking, pen testing tools like Kali Linux. I would learn Linux. I would get a system from scratch, load Linux on it, and start messing around with it. Get into the command line, get comfortable with it. These are projects you can do on your own while you're getting the Security Plus. Then what I would do is I would get the PMP. And the reason why I would get the PMP is because you can leverage the skills that you already have to get a higher paying job doing this with PMP. Because your background would make it so that you could be a manager. You can be an IT project manager where you're managing other project managers and being a little bit more technical. That's what I would do if I were you, so you can leverage to get paid more. Now, if you want to go more technical, there's a couple different things you can do. If you want to get more technical and you want to be a manager for cybersecurity people, then the CISM. If you want to just dive right in and from where you're at, you would end up going a route where you could position yourself to be a manager of an information technology group. That said, one of my coworkers had a CISM, and it's a damn good certification. But the reason why I would say I would go for the PMP first is because you would be able to better leverage your skills, your background, your experience. So that's what I would do. Yeah. But, it's ultimately it's your choice. But I've found greater success myself personally. I've found greater success by leveraging experience that I had. The job I have right now that I just got was because I leveraged the experience I had. And then I built a little bit, just like you're doing right now with Security Plus. You're trying to get into cybersecurity, right? So what you want to do is get the hands-on with security. Get the hands-on with security, but don't leave out the skills you've already built as a project manager, because those are some awesome skills. Those are some incredible skills. You have to learn how to deal with people. You have to learn how to talk to different parts of the organization. You have to talk technical to the technical people. You have to talk to managers, in their language, and you got to talk to C-level execs. That's exactly what GRC is all about. So you are already prepped for it. All you really need is Security Plus. And I think that once you get that Security Plus under your belt and then go for a PMP, you'll be able to position yourself for a really good GRC position. That said, if you want to go CISM, I believe there's some requirements for CISM. That's the other reason why I would say, let me see, CISM requirements. I want to say they want you to have a certain amount of years under your belt, which is another reason why if I was in your position, I would do the PMP first. Let me show you my screen here. Okay. So let me see. One of them is pass the CISM exam, have at least 5 years of experience of information security management, including 3 years in a CISM job. Yeah, so this is another reason why, from where if I were you, this is what I would do. I would do PMP because you're perfect for the PMP. While you're building up your security experience, your information security experience, right, and getting that GRC position, because GRC, we do a little bit of information security management as a GRC person, even if you're an ISO, even if you're an information security officer, because a lot of times they're coming to me, the ISO, for advice on what priority should we do. We've got 300,000 vulnerabilities. Where do we point our attention to? Right? That's a management type decision. So GRC is going to get you that 5 years of information security management experience, and you can lean and gather in some of the experience you already have. It won't even take 5 years. Once you get a GRC position, immediately apply for a CISM. I'm not even messing with you. And then use all the experience you already have to qualify to take. That's just what I would do. I think that would make you more money and it would get you in that position faster. Let me see. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. You see more questions here. Oh, look at this. Great minds think alike. Larry says, security expert says, Larry, I think PMP and Security Plus is a good fit for you. Damn, I'm good. Security expert agrees with me, then that's it's right. Let me see. Gregory Anderson says Security Plus. I have a Security Plus and a semantic SG proxy cert and a semantic endpoint cert. Oh, congrats. That's great. That's awesome. And you go on to say, been doing this for 25 years. I would like to know how to position for a good position for a security clearance to do government work. Okay, I can answer this one really fast. So what I would do if I were you, with your experience, 25 years, you could do this. I think that you'd be able to do this. Go to USA Jobs. It's USA Jobs. You can also find these on LinkedIn and Dice and Monster. USA Jobs has a bunch of government jobs. So find something where that's in line with what you do. I don't know what your job title is, but whatever it is, you got to be good at it. You've been doing it for 25 years. Let's say you were a SOC analyst. Let's see if they have government SOC analysts. They don't have any. Amazing. That's shocking. Let's see. Must be Doge. Doge must be cutting out some jobs. Blame Doge. Let's say you were a IT. They probably don't call it that. Okay, let's say you were a IT project manager. Since we were just talking about that, I don't know what your job is. That's what I'm saying. But you said endpoint, so more than likely it's IT. It's IT security something or other. IT cyber. Okay, there we go. There we go. So let's say you were doing, this is in line with what you were doing. Let's say you want to get a clearance. So you could go ahead and remove filter. Okay, let me remove one of these filters here. Here you go. You don't want to go on the Coast Guard. Well, do they have civilian jobs in the Coast Guard? Let me see. I don't know if this is GS9. I don't know if this is like on the boats or in an office. You know what I mean? Anyway, my point is this. Go to US Jobs. USA Jobs is one. And these guys, they'll hire you and then they will get you a clearance. You will have a clearance if you get one of these jobs. It doesn't have to be Coast Guard. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be a smart ass or something. You could do this one, DFAS. So I'm assuming you're an IT specialist. You would apply for something like this. You'd be working directly for these. You get a check from DFAS. But another thing you can do is just go to find a job that works for DFAS. You can go to LinkedIn, find a job that has a contract with the government, and then they will. The reason why, let me explain. Okay, so the reason why you get a clearance, you don't have to have a clearance, just for everybody's knowledge. To get a security job, the cybersecurity person or whatever, you don't have to have a clearance. Okay, so clearance is like a secret TS, SEI clearance or whatever. You don't have to have a clearance to be. Right now, I have a public trust. I don't have that's people call it a clearance, but it's a background check. It's not like a secret or something like that. But I'm a contractor, and in order for employees to work for a department that requires clearances, they have to get us clearances. So that applies for secret, top secret, whatever. That's how it works. So if you go and work for a company, any company that has a contract with Department of Defense and they have a secret network, you as an employee have to be given a background check that will necessitate a security clearance. So they'll do what's called I can't remember the SSBI. So a sensitive secret background investigation. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's very thorough, and they go back 5 years of your history or 10 years or something like that, of every place you've ever lived, all the people who are closest to you, including family members, all the jobs you've worked for the last 10 years. I mean, it's crazy, right? And then after that background investigation, if they deem that you can do it, also criminal records, everything, they will then give you a clearance so that you can access those secret systems, the secret information on those systems. That's in a nutshell how it works. So bottom line is, you can do it. Just you need to find a company that has a contract with a organization that requires a clearance, if that makes any sense. And the way you will find it is one, USA Jobs. Another one is just, let's say we looked on here. Watch this. You can just do IT secure specialist. Let's say you're IT specialist. Now, I don't know what your job is, so I'm just making stuff up right now. So looking at jobs, when you're looking through jobs, you would want to look for, first of all, we got to search by jobs. To find a job, you would need to, let's look at this one. Maybe this has a contract with it will tell you in the job description who they work for. It'll tell you also the requirements, whether you need to be a citizen, and it'll say something like eligible to get a security clearance. That's the key word right there. And this one might not. Yes. Okay. Government regulations. This might be one. Eligible for clearance. So I would apply for this anyway. See, this says must have security clearance. Apply for it anyway, because sometimes they'll go ahead and get you a clearance. But another thing you can do, so this one could possibly be a job where they'll get you a clearance. Another thing you can do is this. Let me see if I can find eligible for secret. That's usually the verbiage that they use. Eligible means that they're going to have to get you a clearance. Security officer, cleared IT specialist. Let's look at this first one. And reason why I know so much about this is because most of the jobs I've done have been with the government, and this is how it works. Yeah, here's one. Top secret, SEI, SAP information, eligible. So I'm not sure if that's one that some of them you have to already have a clearance. Security officer, let's see. Must have an active, this one right here. When they say active DOD clearance, you already have to have a clearance from somewhere else. Meaning you're working at this job, contractor who already gives you a clearance, and then you transfer over to this one with your clearance. They do that because the contractor doesn't want to spend the money to get you a clearance because it's expensive. Let me see here. Active clearance. So I'm spending a lot of time on this, but I think you get the idea. Oh man, this is a good one right here. Oh shit, look at this. This is from Amazon. These guys pay pretty good, man. Look at that. Boom. Booyah. This one might be. Yeah, this is one right here, I think. Yeah, these guys will get you a clearance. Must be a US citizen and must currently possess and maintain an active clearance. Oh, never mind. They exist. I promise you. They do exist. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple more questions. I've gone way longer than I wanted to today. I'm going to speed run some of these questions. And let me see. Listen to this, Larry. Says somebody on Candy on TikTok says, I got a PMP and my salary went up like 75,000. Also work in tech. Yep. PMP is no joke. On-site is good for networking. Okay. Yes, it is. Save Edward says, got about 2 years on IT help desk. Got my Security Plus, learning AWS. Would GRC be a good pivot for me? GRC pays really well. Yes, they need people right now. So I would say it's I mean, if it's awesome, it's incredible. It's a great career move. It's not for everybody because you got to talk to people. It can be stressful. That's something that they don't talk to you about. They don't mention that. Some of the influencers out there who are talking about GRC, oh, it's easy, it's not technical, blah blah blah. But what they don't mention is that you got to talk to some hard-headed ass people sometimes, and you got to have a pretty be pretty thick-skinned and be able to talk. I mean, we're not thick-skinned, not like people are cussing you out or something, but it's more like you got to deal with all kinds of different attitudes and people, and it's emotionally, you've got to have some emotional intelligence is what I'm trying to say. What you want to do from here, since you already have 2 years of experience and you have a Security Plus, what I would do if I were you is I would highlight all the GRC stuff I've already done. That would include for governance. Have you ever written a policy? Have you participated in a policy? Have you had to review policies before? You want to put stuff like that. That you had to review X amount of security policies, that you wrote a certain amount of standard operating procedures, work instructions, anything you've ever written to articulate how the organization does security. That's the kind of stuff you want to focus on. For risk management portion of GRC, anytime you've turned on audit logs, reviewed audit logs, been a part of a SOC analyst work of any type, been a part of an assessment, conducted some kind of risk assessment or risk management where you had to figure out what's the highest vulnerability on a system and which one to attack first. Things like that is what you want to put on your resume. For the compliance piece, very important. Identify the industry you're in. Every industry has some standard, some kind of act or law that they have to abide by. And then you want to explain how you not only know that regulation or law, but how you've applied it in some way, shape, or form. And more than likely you have, people just don't know how to explain it on their resume. So if, for example, if you're in retail, more than likely you have interacted with PCI DSS in that you had to secure the register. Maybe you had to update the software in the register. You're familiar with the type of security features on that register, on that point of sale system, those kinds of things. If you're in, I don't know, healthcare, it's going to be HIPAA. If you're in the government, it's going to be NIST 800. If you have any exposure to that, you want to mention it on your resume. So that's what I would do to get into it. What's a really good resource for learning EMAS and Nessus? I get this question a lot. So one of the people online who teaches this, if you go to YouTube and type in Tech Woke. There's this dude named Chris, and he has some training on EMAS. You can also get some EMAS training. I believe it's free. If you go to cyber.mil, they have some stuff on EMAS on there. I think you have to access it. You might have to have, I'm not sure how you would access it, but they do definitely have some training on there. For Nessus, that's easy. So go to Tenable. They have a ton of Nessus stuff on Tenable where you can actually download Nessus for free and use it in a limited basis. I think they allow you to use up to 14 IP address, because I just used it. So it's like 14 IPs that you can mess with. It's very limited. You can't do publicly available IPs or something. It's limited, but your exposure to it will be enough for you to put it on your resume. Just from you downloading it, installing it, and then running it on your system, and then identifying vulnerabilities on your system. Now, if you want to do like credentialed scans and stuff, you got to pay for that. But they do have limited scans that you can use on your network for Nessus. Okay, let me see. Another question. Speed run through these. Somebody says, I have a BA in business, can't find a job. I'm going for a network plus, a security plus, AZ900, and MA in cybersecurity. I can't get a job if I upgrade like that. Can I get a job if I upgrade like that? So, Adam, listen, man. Focus on what you can do. I think you're good on certifications, man. You said you have a bachelor's degree in business. You have a security plus. I'm going for my security plus. Okay. Here's what you do. Listen, get your security plus. Network plus, just go through the curriculum. Just the curriculum is enough. It's not as marketable as the other CompTIA certifications. Just the security plus, I think, alone will help you out. What you want to focus on while you're working on security plus is hands-on projects. You can do projects on AWS, on Azure. And the reason why I mentioned those two is because they give you like a year of free access on their platforms where you can mess around with it. Put any kind of hands-on you do, get it on your resume. That you're familiar with this, that you've done these types of projects. You want some guidance on how to word it. Use ChatGPT, use Gemini, use Claude. They'll give you some good examples on how to word it after you've done the projects. You literally explain, I implemented a local area network that included 15 IPs and implemented a firewall on my network. Help me to articulate, help me to explain this on my ATS style resume. Describe the project, and then it will give you verbiage that you can use on your resume to explain how you've done these things. Projects, you will get a lot of ideas by doing the Security Plus. Network Plus, like I said, the curriculum's good enough. You don't really have to get that certification. Go through the curriculum, do some of those projects based off of that. Get as much security exposure as you can. Put it on your resume. You will get people contacting you. If you put it on your resume, if you want an example of types of keywords, here's a little cheat you can do. Let's say you wanted to do IT security specialist. Here's how you know what to put on your resume. What you're going to do is you can go to jobs. This is cool because it's going to tell you what employers want to see. For right now, ignore the salaries, right? That's not what you want to see right now. Is what they're looking for. What kind of requirements are they looking for? Look at all the stuff that they're looking for on here. But then what you want to do to get a cheat is look for people. Look at people who have their resume already out there and look how they word. Look at everything. Look at this. A+, Security Plus certified. And then look at what they put on their resume. And this will give you a good, solid understanding of what you should have on your resume. Now, let me look at this. person, this badass right here, look at what she put on her resume. Specialist, InfoSec. There's a reason why they show up on the top of the searches, because they're badass, because they did their resume right. That's why. All right. Now, she doesn't have any activities. That's fine. You don't really need activities on your resume. What you need is this stuff. This stuff is what you want to look at. Look at what kind of certifications they have. Look at the skill sets. She has ACAS, which is Nessus, right? You can get hands-on with Nessus, like I said. And the last one, you can download it and start messing around with it. I would highly recommend that for everybody who's new, because you can put that directly on your resume. Let me see if this person has their full resume out there. Certain people like myself have their full resume out there, where it breaks down everything we've done along with the wording that you need. And that's what I'm looking for right now. Here you go, right here. So this person right here, she's saying IT security specialist. She works with the NIST. Oh, that's awesome. Holy shit, that's really cool. But look how she puts her wording, what kinds of things she did. Now, you don't have to put IT specialist, which is very generic. Whatever your job that you're trying to get, that's what you want to really focus on, because that's going to give you the keywords, all the kind of wording and everything that you need in order to succeed. But the most important thing, if you take nothing away from what I said, I mean, if you walk away and without anything else, you need to get hands-on experience. Hands-on experience has single-handedly changed my life. Single-handedly changed my life. There's few things I can point to that had such an impact on my life as hands-on. Hands-on experience is one of them, because then you can list it on your resume, and you have a marketable skill that you can use anywhere. That certain certifications, and that's why I mentioned Security Plus, because that's a life-changing certification. It's right now, it's hot. It's very marketable. Another thing is if you have the time, money, and energy, is a degree, right? So that's it, guys. I'm going to close this one out. I apologize if I missed your comments. It wasn't personal. Thank you guys, everybody on TikTok, for watching me. I'm going to do this again very soon. If you want to continue to talk to me, go to ConvoCourses.com. Find us there. We're going to continue we're talking all the time back and forth. So find us there. And for those of you on YouTube, thank you guys so much for all your time. Thank you for your dedication. I'm going to continue to talk about this. We're going to continue our conversation. Thanks, Larry, for all your support, man. Thanks for moderating this. I really appreciate you, man. But everybody else, thank you too. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Security Expert, and everybody who participated. And your questions are awesome. You know, a lot of times you guys ask questions, and many other people have the same questions. So thank you so much. You guys are the reason why I do this. All right. So please keep up the good work. And if you want some guidance on risk management framework, I have the NIST ISO Foundations Guide is still out there. I've got a combo where I've combined a couple of my books together. If you guys want to buy some books and that's written in plain English that explains how to do this kind of stuff, go to Amazon, ConvoCourses, type that in, Bruce Brown. My books are out there. I'm actually getting some pretty good sales, so I appreciate all you guys' support. And I would not be able to do it without this community. So I really appreciate you guys. And that's why I do this. I'm going to continue to do it. I got way more stuff for you guys. And that is it. Thank you guys for joining.